Welcome to episode 155 of Nobody Special.
On this episode, we talk about the question, why do good people go to hell?
The Gospel Outpost presents Nobody Special. Hey everyone, welcome to Nobody Special, two Nobodies talking about the somebody who matters. I'm Danny the host and Beef Patty Monarch Specialist of Nobody Special.
And I'm Caleb, you're the host of Nobody Special. This is the podcast where two generations of people are looking to find God in pop culture, politics, and everything in between, all while not taking any of it too seriously.
Caleb, we have a few things I want to talk about on this episode of the podcast.
Yes.
But before we do, I want to go back to a little kind of a segment that I'm going to come back from time to time called Can't Be Bothered. These are the things that have been going on that I just can't be bothered to talk about. Now, the list is actually quite long, but
we've had to condense it.
Right, because again, can't be bothered. So a couple of things have happened in the past few weeks that I want to acknowledge they happened and people talked about that I couldn't give less of a rip about.
Right.
A trailer came out for the movie Mortal Kombat. Do you know about these games? Do you know the plot of these games?
Yeah.
They have tried so many times to turn these into a movie, but the premise of the games is there's this multi-dimensional fighting contest every few years and they fight.
Right.
So
It's not
now we're
a movie about it.
yeah, well, no,
Another movie about it.
And it's like,
Hey, but at least the CG will be better, The gory effects.
but like,
Gotta look on the bright side, Danny.
But
what is it about?
yeah, what happens?
Yeah, I don't care either.
Yeah, can't be
But
bothered.
if you care, great, but we can't be bothered.
Yeah, I'd go more into it, but that's really the thing. Heads will explode, and it's so gory. Okay, neat. Speaking of, there's literally no way to bridge this. I'm sorry. Another thing has occurred. Meghan Markle and Prince whatever they did an interview on Oprah that Twitter is apparently talking about how the monarchy is in the American and the monarchy and
Right.
and people are like, oh, she was abusive to the staff, and it was like, yeah, but they made fun of our kid. And I'm like, I don't care. Throw tea in the water. Throw tea in the water.
When in doubt, throw tea in the water.
Which arguably is just how you make tea.
Yep.
But like, so I'm not even really sure.
Every time I make tea, I think back to my roots of this country. I feel a bit of the revolution in every sip.
Earl Grey, more like Earl Nay. We were all concerned where I was going there at first, but we managed to pull out. Yeah, no, everyone, like a lot of people are talking about this interview. I don't care about all three of the people in that interview.
Right.
Meghan, Prince, Steve, and Oprah. I forgot, I hadn't heard from Oprah in a while, and I heard oh, look at you still doing things. That's great.
Yeah. Oprah.
Right. Now
Hey, Danny.
Yeah?
Look under your seat right now, and you will find a dirty carpet.
That's rude. This is I live here. I vacuumed the other day. Thank you very
I'm sorry. I'm so mean. It's not dirty. It's just a carpet. I promise,
just a
guys.
carpet. The only thing that's in here is
Your
us
face.
once a week.
You were so wounded.
Well, yeah, because sometimes people, they say hurtful things that they don't mean to say. Hey, speaking of, so it's there's really not a good lead into this one either.
Yeah, I like how you tried to dunk me in order to make a transition, and it didn't work.
Now, a thing I do want to talk about, just because frankly it's kind of funny, is Burger King's Twitter. Now, everyone knows that as far as fast food restaurant Twitter accounts, the props on that goes to Wendy and her glorious slam poetry that is the Wendy's Twitter account.
Yeah.
So Burger King recently got into a lot of heat when they attempted to encourage women to pursue culinary careers on International Women's Day through a 2-part tweet that has been ratioed into oblivion, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Because the tweet, which people have taken screenshots of it because it has since been taken down, and they decided that we need screenshots of this because of course we do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read this tweet in its entirety and
Let's
then pause before I
read the next.
read the subtweet, or as I call it, their intended method of delivery of this sentence. Keep in mind, this is to encourage women to pursue careers in the culinary arts. Women belong in the kitchen. If they want to, of course. Yet only 20% of chefs are women. We're on a mission to change the gender ratio in the restaurant industry by empowering female employees with the opportunity to pursue a culinary career.
That's great. That's great, Burger King.
Like,
what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
I don't know. I think, like, there's this
I mean,
thing.
it's kind of like, I think this is funny. I would really, I kind of dig this, but also when you're dealing with a lot of the people out there nowadays.
Just say Twitter, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Twitter, yes.
Right.
Then, what you're doing, a tweet.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you should probably
The
think
Twitter
a little
outrage.
bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's this thing that if a person, they're trying so hard to not be a thing, they just come off as that thing. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they've tried so hard to just not be misogynistic that they've arrived at a lot of misogyny.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing as kind of a person that starts off a statement by going, "Hey, I'm not racist," but like, no, you're about to say something super racist, homie. Don't do it. Just good. Just stop there. Allow that to be the final point that you're making of "I'm not racist." Yeah, me neither. Cool. Let's go get some food. And then they just end up saying things that are very racist. And this is kind of that same thing. They've tried so hard to be acceptable by the woke crowd that they've become the thing the woke crowd scorns the most. You know, like,
it's so good. It's so good because it that statement genuinely goes both ways. But like, how did they forget? You know, do you think that it was intentional, or do you think they forgot that was what people used to freaking say?
I think they were wanting to pull the card of like, I'm trying to be shocking in order to get attention. And to be fair, it's working. Burger King is trending on Twitter.
Yep.
I wouldn't say for the good reasons, but
Hey,
people are talking about Burger King.
What is this saying? All press is good press.
Not
nowadays,
Yeah,
but-
I disagree.
I mean, kind
Harvey
of.
Weinstein.
Well, not
Jeffrey
for like
Epstein,
but for businesses, I would say that's probably true, because now I'm thinking about Burger King.
Right.
I'm thinking about their chicken fries, and I kind of want some.
Yeah.
Said no one ever.
Yeah. They had we'll come back to this in a second. They had, it was kind of a mac and cheese, deep fried mac and cheese coated in like Cheeto dust or something like that.
What?
That is the
sounds
fastest
dangerous.
I've ever had diarrhea.
Yeah.
Like I was 5 minutes
So you're not
from
consuming
home.
anything of
And,
nutrients.
Yeah, and it's not even real cheese. Like,
Yeah,
it's actually
exactly.
real cheese. So the moment it hit my tongue, I thought to myself, like, I have to poop.
Yeah.
Like, immediately. I might have to pull over, and I'm only 3 minutes from home.
I mean, it sounds like it would be like good but gross at the same time.
Yeah,
I've never wanted to eat a fried ball
It
of
was
mac and
half of
cheese.
those. It was gross. I thought it was
Yeah.
gross. But anyway, back to their tweet game. I think they tried so hard to gain everyone's attention. And I mean, the thing they're trying to do is admirable. They're trying to encourage women to go into the culinary arts.
Right.
But I mean, there's a little bit of situational awareness here of, I don't think Burger King to be the pinnacle of culinary expression. So having them encourage people to open a Michelin star rated restaurant is a bit kind of like, I think you're just pandering at this point. You're Burger King.
Right.
Like, you're Burger King. That's it. Like, I mean, you're not.
A culinary career starts with us. Not.
Oh, did they say that?
No.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, yeah. Good grief. It super doesn't, no one ever works for Gordon Ramsay and starts off by saying, it's like, well, I gradually clawed my way up through the ranks of Burger King, and now here I am on Hell's Kitchen trying to.
I started out as a fry fryer and made my way up to making the sandwiches.
And then they have the test kitchens, and even those are, I mean,
even those are just.
They are cool. They are high-paying jobs in culinary arts. They are trying new things, but when it comes down to it, theirs is a number game of produce food quickly. Yeah, I mean, it's a.
I think that would be fun if I were to have any job in the food industry. I think being in a test kitchen would be so much fun.
Really?
Because just imagine, you get to create new things, and then it's also fun because you get to try and scale it. So if it's a good idea, you have to it's almost like a bit of science to it. And you're like, okay, now we have to figure out how to mass produce this thing.
How can we get aioli in our McDonald's fries?
Yeah.
You can't. And just, can you imagine fast food employees trying to pronounce aioli or explain what aioli? I barely know what aioli is.
Isn't it like whipped olive oil with stuff? I don't even know. I don't know.
It is made of raw eggs and oil and a little bit of acid.
What?
But
what does that mean? A little bit of acid.
A little bit of acid.
What type of acid are we? Okay, lemon juice.
Yeah, lemon juice.
It's like, what? This is the weirdest way to say that.
Yeah. No, I just this is the why I don't try and, well, for many reasons, but I don't think there's benefit in trying to placate the crowd that's trying to cancel all the people. It's just be the thing that you're trying to be. And especially in kind of like church stuff, I actually had a person encourage that if in preaching and if in these things I'm claiming a thing as if I'm trying to be cheeky and ooh, did I get away with it, then I probably need to not put that in preaching.
Right.
And this I kind of apply to Twitter, that especially for Burger King, it's you knew when you tweeted this that this was a bad thing you were doing. That's why you did it, because that was the appeal of I'm gonna say something kind of shocking, and then maybe then they'll come by our Whoppers. You drew a line that doesn't exist. Of, if I say a shocking thing, people will buy more fries, and instead of trying to just be the thing that you are, you were trying to be this different thing. I don't know. I guess I'm tired of the.
Yeah, I could see. I could see how it would be annoying for sure, and I think it is. And do I think they're going to be harmed by this ultimately? No.
For a day or two, and then.
Yeah, but that's nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
People are going to forget. Because ultimately, I guess the thing they did do right is that they know it was a very noble effort, if that makes sense. They weren't just plainly saying women belong in the kitchen.
Right. That wasn't the only
if it was
thing
just
they tweeted.
Yeah. We'd be having some problems. But ultimately, it's just, I get what you're saying, because it's just annoying. The whole Twitter culture is just annoying, pushing the limits in order to get attention.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's just annoying. That's why I'm not on it. 'Cause
Right.
It's never anything but political stuff on there.
Right.
That's it. And
Right. It's like,
I can't.
what are we
stand
upset
it.
about today? I still don't get why news stories on, I mean, this is fine. This is a dumb podcast, but like Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, all these places they occasionally go, people on Twitter are saying, I'm like, do you know, people on Twitter are saying a lot of things. People on like, that's a metric I don't actually enjoy, because in order that it be true, you only need two people.
Yep.
Like, Twitter's outraged. Find out why. Thanks, BuzzFeed. No one cares. Like, don't.
Twitter
feed
really
the
doesn't
trolls.
represent a huge like population anymore. Really, I mean, like I do not know a lot of
it's like
people that
fifth
are
largest,
actively
yeah.
on Twitter.
It's
I genuinely don't.
It's gone more corporate, and I mean, it's still up there. It's still part of the big five for social media.
Right. Like that's the thing is it's up there, but like it's become not this thing where you're like tweeting for your friends or anything
Right.
like that. Like
Right.
you're just viewing stuff now and
Right.
retweeting and all this stuff, and it's just
Right.
all gross and political, and I don't like it. I mean, I wouldn't say it's all that, but like that's the majority of it. For
Yeah.
sure. And I used to have my fun. Like there was a time where Twitter was fun, and I would like. I think it's been a great place to reach towards those people who are like, more popular and stuff. Like I did this drawing one time when I was in high school of Thanos, of this, and it was this guy I was a big fan of. I think his name is James something, but he was a comic book artist, and so. And he has like a YouTube channel where he draws a bunch of stuff, and I like tweeted my picture after like trying to copy one of his drawings.
Yeah.
And, like he responded and stuff, and so it's like cool to reach out to people like that.
DMCA takedown. Don't do that now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But like
Stop stealing
other
my
than
work,
that,
kid.
it's just like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of like
Yeah.
positivity or anything.
Well, and it's become too difficult to like try and do a good thing, because it either needs to be edgy, get people's attention, or these kinds of. I mean, it's the opposite. It does the thing that Jesus said to not do. If you're doing a good thing, don't do it to gain attention. Do it because it's a good thing.
Right.
And I do think if there is a barrier to entry to the culinary arts, that I do think that is problematic. If it's a case that just women aren't interested in going into top tier culinary arts, then okay, that's fine. But if there are barriers to entry, that kind of thing, because of a gender inequality, or I'm gonna say inequality, not inequity, because the two are different, and we won't get into that now. But if that is there, then yeah, we need to be encouraging people to go into that field. Kind of the same thing on STEM. If girls are scared to go into STEM fields because it's a male dominated field and are interested in going in, that is an inappropriate kind of a pause in going into STEM fields.
What is STEM?
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
So if there are barriers to that, you need to take the barriers down. Absolutely.
And I think that like if you are a woman, and specifically like a Christian woman, like I would just encourage you to not like, it's easy to view things as that way, but like if that's what you feel called to do, like just know that you literally have like the God of the universe on your side, and that He will make a way, and like that it's easy to look at the statistics and all of these things. But ultimately, if you're passionate about that thing, do it. And I have no doubt that if that's what God has called you to do in that time, then He'll make a way for it.
Absolutely. But I mean, especially Twitter, even trying to do a good thing can be criticized because of a way a person misinterpreted a tweet. Granted, Burger King's they were being an edgelord, but
Edgelord.
they
That
knew
sounds
the thing
cool.
that they're doing. But
that sounds like a villain in a Dope video game.
I am Edgelord.
Edgelord.
Please submit your sketches and drawings of Edgelord on. No, actually, hold on. Please don't. we won't be showing those on the show.
Edgelord over the Twitter universe.
Oh my gosh,
This is great.
Well, that brings us though to a good question by one of our listeners. Maybe he watches us on YouTube.
Matthew
I don't know.
H.
Thank you for not giving out his last name, whose social security number is.
Yeah.
Matthew, he asked us the following question.
Am I reading it?
Go for it.
Okay, this is what Matthew says. What does the Bible say about non-Christians who do good things? Are these things pleasing to God? Romans 2 and Romans 8 seemingly suggest different answers to this. What do you think?
All right. So when a person does a good thing, is it a good thing? I don't know. I think there's two different questions in this.
I think there's two different answers that are both right as well, in my mind.
Right. So are we talking about the person or the act? That'd be if I'm trying to pick apart this question and be a pedantic turd, or as I call it, Monday. If I'm trying to do these things, that's the first thing I ask is, are we talking about the person or about the act? Because those two have different answers, I think. I don't think if a person gives to the poor and aren't a Christian, I don't think God's gonna be like, I wish you wouldn't have done that. You know, like, I mean, do you know what I mean? There's a practical aspect of a good thing even done by a bad person is still a good thing.
Right. And that's what I was saying. Like, I think that it really depends on your definition of good. Now, I think that there are good things that can be done and they can have good consequences apart from Christ. I do think that is a thing. But in the grand scheme of things, when you're looking through the lens of what makes works valuable, which is intentionality in serving Christ and Him being glorified,
right? Then
no, they're not good works in the sense that, I mean, like the Bible literally says our works are filthy rags, and right? Isn't that a thing? Make sure I'm quoting that right.
Yeah. Yes. Are you quoting it right? Is a different question entirely.
Yeah, I don't know. But
those who know that word know exactly where I am in my.
And literally.
Nope. We're good. Can keep going.
Yeah, what you want to talk about? What that means?
Filthy rags.
Yeah, it is.
Dirty menstrual cloth.
Yeah.
Dirty menstrual cloth.
Gross. It's just a whole nother level of gross.
Right.
And so, like, I think that there can be good things done by a non-Christian that have good consequences on this earth, but as far as consequences on this earth do not imply the spiritual importance and significance, which is ultimately glorifying God. And I think that,
right,
to me, so my answer to this would be no. I don't think that it is pleasing to God, because I don't think God is pleased unless we are glorifying Him by being enjoying Him and loving Him for who He is,
right,
and the works just flowing out of us.
Right. So like there are two different questions in there, because it talks about the non-Christians and the things. I do think there can be things done that are not pleasing to God, but good things. I mean, there are good. It's good to care about each other.
Right.
But if it's done apart from the overflow and abundance of Christ, then I think it's a better idea to ask, what is even the point? And I think that's the thing that you're getting at is,
right,
like, even if it is a good thing, who cares? I mean, if I give $20 to a person, well, okay, at some point they'll still die. I mean, in a grand scheme, if I take the slider of time and go to eternity, then the $20 I gave to someone, or $1,000, at some point becomes inconsequential because it did nothing to impact eternity. There's a passage in Romans 2 that I think would be very, very helpful for this. Caleb, if you want to give that a read for us.
For sure. For all who have sinned without the law will also perish without the law. And all who have sinned under the law will be judged by the law. For it is not the hearers of the law who are righteous before God, but the doers of the law who will be justified. For when Gentiles, who do not have the law, by nature do what the law requires, they are a law to themselves, even though they do not have the law. They show that the work of the law is written on their hearts, while their conscience also bears witness, and their conflicting thoughts accuse or even excuse them on that day when, according to my gospel, God judges the secrets of men by Christ Jesus.
So there's some, because it's Paul, he's doing kind of a duck and weave throughout the whole thing as he's kind of hitting the points, but he's kind of talking about those that have done good things but don't understand the basis of the law. And I do think that he does state in there a bit that when they do good things, it's an indication that there is this kind of divine calling that all of us actually do feel in coming to or in being, that is drawing us to Christ. I mean,
right.
if I am if I don't know Christ, then the biggest question is, why actually do good things? If Wall Street has taught us anything, it is profitable to screw over the other guy. So if I'm just trying to go for personal gain, then why am I stopping to do good things? Is it because it gives me joy to do it? I mean, this is an altruism debate of, can a person truly be altruistic? I mean,
what does that mean?
Can they be,
I don't know big words,
a good person? Because if they get joy out of doing a good thing, then aren't they just doing it to get the joy?
Now, I do think,
and I'm like, not necessarily. I disagree with that.
I do think that, like, it genuinely just depends on your definition of good.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to. But I think that, like, yeah, you're completely right. That's what Paul is saying here, that by these people who are not Christians wanting to do good things, it is just showing that the law is written on their hearts. That it is, like, people know right and wrong. They do. I don't care what you say. Right. And I know that that's true. Just from talking to people I know who aren't Christians and in hearing their motivations in life. Like, it's just, there is this thing written on us, this moral code that we want to help others. We want to, and even if we're not following things, whether that's, like premarital sex, stuff like drugs, all that stuff, like, deep down that it's not right. Right. Like, you just do. And this is what, I mean, like, literally, I would encourage everyone, if you haven't, most people have, but to read C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity, where he literally breaks down, like, why, like, Christianity is real and is that, and he talks a lot about this, that it is, we are designed as human beings with a moral code that is written, and that is literally perfectly in line with what the Bible says. Yeah. Because God knows what's best for us. Right. And so, like, can you be good? Like you're saying, that's an interesting point. Like, is it just them being selfish, trying to get a joyful feeling? Or I wouldn't even say joyful, but a good feeling by giving or whatever it is. Because I see,
but that's the point, that this debate, it's not even a debate at this point. It's an ethical paradox almost, that if a person is doing it for personal gain, then they cease to be altruistic. And it's just like, that's not, I don't know. I don't think the guy that walks into a burning building to go put it out, I don't think that person's doing it because it's like, I'm awesome. I do think, because I know a few of them, they are genuine people trying to help and to do good things to make an impact. Is there ego in there? Absolutely, but that's because people are complex and flawed. But I don't think it's
even Christians have that. Like, for sure.
Right. But I mean, for this question, for non-Christians, the passage in Romans is kind of talking about that if they do things according to the law, then they've become the law to themselves. And I think if you kind of back it up, it also talks about the flop side of that. For all that have sinned apart from the law will also perish apart from the law. That if they're the standard is still perfection. Yeah. And I think that's the core of this, is that even a good thing well, all right, pretend a guy goes a day and is 100% obedient to Christ, just a day. That's, well, not obedient to Christ, but obedient to do good things.
Like he doesn't technically do any sins.
Yeah. He doesn't do a sin the whole day.
Right.
Which good on him. But, and this is hypothetical because I don't even think that's possible, especially if there's a disconnect with Christ. But let's just claim that he doesn't. All right. In that case, then the man is being obedient to the law of God that he didn't know that he was following. The problem is, because the standard is perfection and holiness, any other item in any other day disqualifies him 100%, because he is a lawbreaker and also he is a sinner. Now, he may not understand the depths of the thing that he did, but it's still perishing. I don't think there's this idea of just because a person doesn't understand the law they break, that they're not accountable to it. I've heard some people say that, and I don't actually think that to be true, because then our best case in Christianity is to stop telling everyone about the gospel. Right. Is that all of us just kill ourselves and be over? Because if understanding it makes us guilty by it, then the more people that know it then the more of them are guilty. And by telling a person about it, we condemn them instead of open them up to salvation. And I've heard that from pastors actually respect, and I don't think it holds biblically, for especially Christ saying the only way to eternity is through me. That just because a person doesn't understand they committed a crime, it still means they committed a crime. Right.
And I think, like, to be honest, to me, the thing that's just confusing is just the definition of it. I like going by the definition of good. I don't think non-Christians can do anything good. Right. I think that there's a better word. I don't know what that word is that we could use to describe the works of a non-Christian. I think that they can be. I think the best way to put it would be beneficial. Yeah. That you can do beneficial works. Right. And I think that they can be used. And like ultimately God is sovereign over everything. Right. And that he can use these beneficial things that people do. And I do think that it's because they're following this internal moral code, like you were just talking about. And I think that yeah, to me, it genuinely just comes down to definition. Yeah. Because I don't think, going by the definition of good, and if God would be pleased by these good things, I don't think that it is possible. Right. But like also, like you said, it's a difficult thing, like to tell a non-believer that. And I think that's why, I mean, the whole argument, I would love to dip into this, is just like, why do good people go to hell? And I think that it's literally what we're talking about. It's just a definition of good, because they're not good people. Right. They're people who who have stayed morally okay. And that is, like you said, it's not enough. That it needs perfection, and the only thing that can get you perfection to be justified is Jesus, or in a relationship with him.
That question of do good people go to hell, it's not a. The answer is very plain and so jarring. Like when in answering it, the issue isn't that people don't understand the answer; it's that they don't enjoy the answer. Yeah. Because the answer is no. Good people don't go to hell, but the standard of good is the perfection of Christ. Yeah. So compare.
Right.
And to claim that
You just have
God's like tossing people into hell, I don't actually think that that's an accurate understanding anyway.
We're already on our way to hell.
There, and
that's what is, I think, the best way to explain it in my mind is that, like, to a non-Christian is that like if you're listening to this, like, I would tell you what I would say is that you and I, we are already on our way to hell. That because of the fall,
right,
that we are tainted, we are sinful, we are corrupt, and we are on our way to hell. But Jesus and God lovingly sent his son Jesus down to us to give us the way out. And not only just a way out, but salvation in a relationship with him. That it's not just salvation, that it's way more than that. It's sanctification. It's becoming more like him. It's having a relationship with the only thing that is genuine love, the only person who can genuinely love you and fully accept you because of what Jesus did. And in that now we are a good person because we can't be perfect.
Right.
We're already on our way to hell. That Jesus made us perfect, and now we are good people. Therefore, we don't go to hell. Like you're saying, it's just it's definitionally wrong already.
We are good based on the imputation of Christ's goodness upon us, not by our own ability to like conjure up goodness. Right. And I think that's the kind of issue is the standard. I mean scope. I think scope is the backbone of these kinds of arguments, is that compared to the scope of God's perspective, I mean, I was talking to a person about money, that is it okay that a Christian is rich? And I think God isn't impressed by it because of the scope of the glory of God. That, I mean, I can get $1 million and on this planet, that'd be kind of impressive. It'd be kind of cool. I'd be a millionaire. It'd be great. And compared to the unending riches of God, it's like, I got money. Like, I don't, like, I don't need that. I mean, I've compared it to in eternity, the streets are made of gold. And that tells you the worth of gold in heaven. It's gravel. Like, I had a lot of it, so I made it the road. Right. So scope, I mean, even if I do good things in the scope of eternity, I don't think I can get to a place of I've done enough to merit the perfection that is God, or that I'm good enough that I'm okay to step into the kingdom of heaven that I have rebelled against. Like it's an issue of scope compared to the eternal and glorious nature of God. Right. Then I'm not that good.
And I think, like you said, like people, typically the people asking this question, they're asking it because they don't like the answer. Like you said, everyone, I feel like they already know. Right. I do think that they typically have a misunderstanding of how much grace and love is involved in the answer. Like, and it's hard to understand
it's a scope issue. An eternal amount of grace has been given to you to bridge that gap.
But literally, I mean, the hardest thing about being a Christian is realizing that you were dead in your sin, that you were filthy, you are condemned, that you are not, like we cannot do good. And I think that that's what is so hard about it, is that like you have to truly admit that you're a sinner, and that cuts down all of your ego. It does. And it doesn't feel good. No. And you have to be able to admit that not only does my ego not matter, but the only ego that matters is Christ's. And that like God needs to be glorified. And that's what our existence is about. And once you wrap and it's not the most fun thing to like transition into, but like you realize that that's the only possible answer, and that he's the only one who deserves it.
Right. The hard part in conversation, I think, is the part where Christ talks about, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. And I've been in a couple of cases where, well, what then is brought up is this, the kind of the saddest story that you've ever heard of, this kid has this illness and this and this, that, and he this, and like the story that is the statistical impossibility. And then go like, well, I can't believe in a God that doesn't, that'll cast that kid into hell. And I'm like, all right, well, that kid ain't here. Let's talk about you. I mean, it's to create this kind of a fabricated story in order to argue a point, and then create this as the reason that you don't even think about Christianity, I think is intellectually dishonest. Because that story's not the thing that you're asking.
Right.
You're asking about you. And if you're unable to follow God because God is mean, but I don't think that's a fair depiction. In an actuality, it's you think your way of delivering justice is better than God's.
Yep.
And there's a humility to that you have to be willing to take up, or stay in this idea of, I know better than God.
Yep. And that's literally what progressive Christianity is all about. I mean, if you look at like not only just the way the world operates, but progressive Christianity is that they're taking pieces of the gospel and making it about themselves because they don't like who God is, and so they try and shove him into a box.
Or
and you
sterilize
can't do that.
them, I think is the better word. They're trying to sterilize the impact of God.
Yeah, and
well, God would never.
And you can tell it's just so ego-based because if you listen to any of these people, I mean, I hate to admit it, but like they are not anything Christ-like. I mean, it's just true, because you're trying to take God and make him yours, and that's not a thing that you are going to be able to do.
Right. I think at its core, the gospel is very offensive because it strikes at our own ego, our own pride, and it nails them to the cross. And if I am unwilling to die to myself, then of course I'm not going to be able to come alive in Jesus Christ. That's not how that works. If I can't cling to the old person and claim the new person. It's you kind of got to pick a little bit. It's I'm either going to stay in the old person, or I'm going to claim the new person that Christ made for me. Right. But I can't have both. Yeah. And I think for like Christian, especially a progressive Christianity, attempts to tell people that they are okay and they're fine and they can come to Jesus if they want. And I think this as a theological foundations is going to cast more people into hell than they think. Because I mean, like, all right, let's just be straight up. Going to church takes a lot of time. Let's just be honest. Reading your Bible takes a lot of time. That's why a lot of Christians struggle through it, actually, because it takes time out of the day, time that could be doing fun stuff, like playing the Switch or any of that stuff. I'm not saying it's not fun, but it takes time. Yeah. When if I'm okay apart from Christ, why would I do it? Like, I don't understand the messaging here. Hey, Christ is the path to salvation, but you're okay. I don't get that one. I've seen that one a lot. Yeah. It's like, you should go to church, but if you don't, God still loves you just how you are. No, God loves you despite how you are. Right. And that difference is super important. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, if I don't have to, if there isn't any impact of coming to Christ, then don't do it. And I think that's why a few of these denominations are dying, because they've told people they don't actually need to change, but can you still give us 10% of your income? Yep. Like, no, of course not. I'm fine. Like, I did it. I won. Like, I mean, it's almost like, it's almost cute. Like, I view these like progressive Christianity people, and it's like, they're almost like a child, to be honest.
That like
Right.
it is hilarious that you think that you can like make your own,
Right.
or take God and rip little bits and
Right.
pieces out of his character, and you can't do that because he literally, like, he made everything. He's over everything. He's sovereign over everything. And the fact that you think that you can do that is just cute. It just is. That's the best way to put it.
Right.
But it's just sad at the same time.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, there's a church, they just put out an updated stance on their church, and they've been gradually eroding over time, and they've come out and stated like the Bible is not the word of God. It is not inerrant. It's a collection of ideas out of a few different authors. And I'm just like, you can't, like,
You're not a church anymore.
the Bible doesn't even agree with you on that. That's the
Yeah.
thing. The part where
Yep.
the Bible talks
Exactly.
about its own inerrancy is like you're saying, but I guess that makes a little bit of sense. If you think the Bible is errant, then you can absolutely claim the part that it's claiming it's inerrant is errant. I mean, I guess it kind of holds up in a logical sense, but you're still wrong.
Yeah.
If I'm able to poke holes in it, then I can just pick and choose. And as a person who's studied church history, that's not the good guy who did that. There are plenty of people who did that. Actually, biblical canon, well, it was created because a guy named Marcion. I'm being overly simplistic in history here, so forgive me. He created a biblical canon, and he ended up being like super anti-Jewish. So all the parts that talked about the Jews still being in the faith, he snipped them out. He's like, nah, we don't want that. And he's like, we don't want that. We're gonna snip here. We don't want that. Cut. And the church councils, they met to establish the first canon because that guy sucks. He's like, no, he's really chopping up a lot of good stuff here, and so they had to establish biblical canon based on that. So, we don't get to pick and choose the parts of scripture I enjoy and the parts I don't enjoy.
Right.
I don't get to create God. God created me, and I don't get to create truth. I get to be bound by it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the flaw in a good amount of these progressive Christian things, is that they're essentially pulling a Burger King. In their attempt to not be offensive, they've been super offensive and alienated their base in the process.
Yep.
So
Yeah. It's crazy.
if the Bible isn't the word of God, then why am I reading it? Like,
Yeah.
why spend time doing this? Okay, so poke holes in that. If it's not inerrant, then why bother trying to dig out the parts that are true and the parts that aren't?
Right.
If it's just a kind of collection of thoughts, then it is on the same tier as
Books.
Twitter. You know,
Yeah.
like I
Normal.
heard a thought. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's becoming the
That's what's
very
just so
thing they
insane
hate.
about it, is that, like you said, the Bible claims that it is God breathed.
right.
And so how can you just take it and snip bits and pieces out that you don't want to hear, and ultimately just completely make it not God breathed anymore?
Right.
And you're, like you're saying, like you're just flipping it completely,
Right.
and it's insane. It's insane, and it makes me very upset.
Yeah.
And annoyed.
Well, but they're doing it because, love wins.
Oh, Rob
It's
Bell.
the stupidest.
Hey, if
like-
you guys haven't watched
Love
the
won
American
today.
Gospel movies, there's one on prosperity gospel, and there's one on progressive Christianity, and
Yeah.
I highly encourage you to watch that, because it genuinely opens your eyes to all these things that we can start to believe slowly but surely,
Right.
and it brings you back to biblical doctrine, and it's so good, and it has a bunch of the good pastors. Paul Washer, your favorite, he's so good in those.
I love Paul Washer. I saw a picture of him smiling. It's like, nah, we want Paul back, please. Can I?
Yeah.
I know that sounds super mean.
Who
I've
is
heard
Paul, and what have you?
I know people that they've talked to him, and that Paul is just a delightful human being.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, no, he's a nice person on the planet. He's so kind, and I'm like, you wouldn't get that from just his preaching, though, and I appreciate it. I don't know. I've come out of
but
a
his
few
preaching
different...
is just like, it is loving. You know, like that's what's crazy about it,
Right.
is that it's viewed as
right.
like, even to us, like it can be viewed as this thing that is very,
Yeah.
firm, but that's what the
Right.
Bible is. But the
firm
message
parent
is love.
is a loving parent.
Exactly.
The permissive parent sucks.
Yeah.
And I know. I've been in children and youth ministry a long time.
Yeah.
We're just gonna accept them no matter what they do. Well, they're lighting your house on fire, Tina. So.
But Matthew, thank you for your question.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think it brought some very good conversation. And I think that if you guys want to, obviously, I mean, we plug it every week, but
we actually do read them.
We do.
See,
we do.
Proof.
See, this is proof. Boom. But you can find us at, oh gosh, I forgot thegospelpost.com
Forgot the website.
/nobody special, and there's a form there where you can ask us questions or say hello. You can also find us on Nobody Special Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and you can follow us there. You can comment or DM us, and we'll get your questions or hellos there as well.
Also, we're on YouTube. Episodes come out on Tuesday at around 11 o'clock-ish, depending on YouTube's upload speed.
Yep.
So please feel free to give us
Caleb's memory. It's another big aspect.
It's not Caleb's internet. I know that much.
Yeah.
Nothing can push an episode in 10 minutes. But do give us a like, a comment, a subscribe, and hit the bell and share with your friends and all the YouTube things that people then tend to say and dab for 5 minutes afterwards while screaming. We won't. We will try not to do that here.
That even came out of your mouth.
They're like, "What's up?" And then you turn the channel because you don't like what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
The standard YouTube greeting.
Yeah.
So. But yes, all of us appreciate. We appreciate all of us. I appreciate it, and I think Caleb does too. And that's all there is. Everyone that takes the time to share the show, ask us questions, we really enjoy it. Especially through the past year of COVID, when pop culture stopped and politics sucked. The questions were very helpful. They'll still be helpful, and if there's things that you want advice on, go ahead and ask us those, and we will for some reason think we're qualified to answer those.
Yes.
But
Danny he's an actual pastor with a seminary. He's a seminarian, and I am just Caleb. I know. I love doing
it. Feels
this
so
Danny,
dirty whenever anyone appeals to that, because
it feels so dirty. Hey, I'm the one who's just a mere Christian.
Yep, that's the dirtiness right there. Like that's the.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Gosh, we should get into why I hate that one episode.
Hey, yeah, that's good. There you go.
We'll get into why I hate that.
Yes, that's actually a good idea. Okay,
I'm hugging myself.
That's gonna do it for us today. I'm gonna end this thing.
All right.
I'm Caleb,
and I'm Danny,
and we are
Nobody Special.